Hey guys, Brandon Woolham, CCM Magazine. Today we are hanging out with Elias Dummer. What's up, man?
Hey, Brandon, thanks for having me.
So it's been a big few weeks for you. Not only some new music out there, but also you and the family just packed up and moved to a different country.
Yeah, it has been an eventful 8 weeks, I'd guess. Yeah.
So what got you back to Canada, moving out of Nashville and heading back north?
Oh, mostly family, just needing to be closer to parents and wanting our kids to be closer to parents. And also, I mean, as complicated as it sounds to say, just wanting to simplify opportunities for our kids and my wife and everything. It's not been uncomplicated in the US these past few years when it comes to being a non-citizen. And we I think everyone's patience for just how complicated that can be probably wore thin. So I'm still working in the US and in music, of course, and all of that. But where home base is back home.
So you moved up there just in time to get some more snow gear and get ready for the Canadian winter.
That's right. Our kids get an extra month of summer, which is great. And I got to escape the 110-degree weather with 90% humidity for we sit on our big porch now and it's lovely outside. So it's great.
Love it. So you also put out a brand new album, 10-song album. The Work Volume 2 is out now. Volume 1 was in 2019. Is there a Volume 3 in the works too?
Well, I mean, I may just stick out this sequential thing. That's kind of the plan. I have a tendency to overthink things like that. So I think just deciding on the sequential thing was a big part of it. I mean, even the work itself is a play on the idea of liturgy and the work of the people. And so if I ever do a live record, I'll probably just call it The People or something and keep it all, in this little ecosystem, I guess. So volume 3 will come eventually, but I have to say I'm very, very excited and proud about this record. It's the fruit of friendship for one thing, which is pretty awesome. And I think as a result, probably one of my more earnest collections that I've ever put out. I have that nervousness that every record has, but also the nervousness of like, oh, I hit a few nails on the head here, and it's very transparent. So I'm excited to see if it speaks to people, I guess.
Were both these albums written in pre 2019, and this was just a leftover that you couldn't fit on Volume 1, or are these completely new songs that you've written during the pandemic?
No, so volume 1, I was actually just thinking about this. Volume 1 was written all prior to 2019, and then I started writing this record almost as soon as we decided which songs were on volume 1. So these are all songs written since the first record came out. But they aren't all songs written during the pandemic. In fact, most of them were written or at least loosely organized before the pandemic. And then there are a few that were definitely kind of written during all the crazy. But yeah, no, we went into volume 2. I think the reasons are obvious to most, but just in case, we went into volume 2 knowing that this needed to be a bittersweet and a record which kind of held lament and hope in tension from beginning to end. So and especially in worship music, I think this is rare in terms of we don't often approach things this way, but I approached this record as a journey from start to finish, something where it's going somewhere and it starts somewhere and ends somewhere, and is my best attempt to kind of capture some of the prayers needed to pray along the way in processing a lot of the crazy stuff that we've seen over the last few years.
We're kind of getting away from a lot of that. We're getting more singles now. We're not getting the full albums that are actually albums, like you say there.
Yeah, it's true. And so I don't know if this just makes me a dinosaur or what, but I mean, I certainly have, I wasn't ignorant of that. We certainly have songs that we really approached to make sure that they would stand on their own 2 feet. But hopefully they are a springboard to a journey of sorts. And I hope that people, can that can speak to them and appreciate them and give them something that to pray, really.
Did you make physical copies of this album too?
We did a
We
few.
might be living in the dinosaur era then.
Well, no, we had so the album was supported on Indiegogo, so we have CDs and vinyls and stuff that were part of that, and so we just kind of doubled whatever came in on Indiegogo so that we'd have something on hand.
Love it. You got a lot of special guests on this album too. How'd those collaborations come about?
Well, like I said, for the most part, it was all friendship. So Gary Ray from Land of Color, we co-wrote "The Gospel Is Rest" together, which is the song they appear on. So it was really natural. Zach Bolen, who is the frontman in Citizens, we co-wrote "Kyrie Eleison, It's Mercy We Need," and so that too was really natural. There was the gap there was really short. JJ Heller sings on the song "Carrie," and JJ and I've been friends forever. She did a thing with City Harmonic back in the day, a special version of Holy Wedding Day, and we met at festivals years and years ago. And, you know, when they moved in, we showed up and helped them unload boxes. And I mean, that's true in the inverse of Benji Coward, who co-wrote "We're Here Because You're Here," showed up at my house in Nashville when we moved there, helping me unload boxes. So I'm pretty happy that this album really is sort of the fruit, including even with co-producer Brent Milligan, really is the fruit of like real world friendships. As opposed to sort of a writing room in Nashville where you put two things together and roll the dice. There's basically very little of that on this record. It's earnest in two people who know each other, or at least have got to know each other. And I'm pretty excited about that.
The song that you talk about there was Zach. It was inspired by the demise of a church in Seattle. You had sort of a similar experience on your own, being let down by a leader that you had respected. How did that affect your faith?
Man, well, that's a good question. And something Zach and I talked a lot about. It's sometimes we jump to really simple explanations for why these things happen. So every megachurch is broken, for example, would be the assumption about Mars Hill. My experience was not that's not the case. I had like you said, I was pretty significantly let down by a leader in my life where there were no podcasts, there were no videos, there were no lights or cameras. And so I don't know that it's as simple as scale. You know, I've thought about whether or not to call this record because people often feel at the moment as if the only option they're given is a particular brand of evangelicalism or total deconstruction. And the reality is the Christian faith is 2,000 years old with expressions all over the place. And I'm grateful that my experience of trying to figure out which beliefs and practices, I guess, might be even more appropriate or idiosyncratic versus not, and kind of tease those out. A lot of that happened for me 20 years ago. So my entire career in music, if you will, has all been after that. And as that's continued. So I don't call it deconstruction, if you will. It's not a deconstruction record. I don't see myself as part of the deconstruction movement. But I do think it's important that we think earnestly about our faith and about the difference between things we're told by a charismatic leader and things which are Orthodox Christian belief, and almost more importantly, or as importantly, living Christianly as we do this thing, which of course, you know, is an issue in both Zach and my story when it comes to leaders. So we connected on that in a very deep way. And I think both of us have come to a place where at the end of the day, we're called to step into the feet of Jesus, to follow the way of Jesus. And that I think is fundamentally important. I think singing plays a really remarkable role in that. Prayer does, even preaching, but all of it kind of centered in living the Christ-like life and living with Christ, and not simply doing churchy things really, really well.
That's awesome. One of the things that has came about since you've announced this Canadian move, I saw that you're opening an art gallery up there in Ontario, or you're partnering with an art gallery. How's that working?
Yeah, so I'm an entrepreneur. I own a few companies. I've been in the marketing space for a long time and have been involved. One of the things we did was really help several visual artists expand their career pretty significantly. And so one of those artists and I are opening a brick and mortar that does prints, and we have a couple of other things in the art world together as well. So that opens, at this point, it's looking like early 2023. I was just there this morning. It's drywall's up and They're filming a movie in the space. Don Cheadle is directing.
Wow.
So they've rented the space from us for a month, and so that's yeah, it's a pretty wild.
That's nice when you can make a little bit of income during that part of the process.
Yeah,
that usually doesn't happen.
Yeah, the budget is helped along certainly by Hollywood North.
Well, dude, thanks for hopping on here with us this morning. And you guys go stream The Work Volume 2. And while you're there, you might as well listen to Volume 1 and all of Elias' other music too. Thanks for checking in with us, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon.
Enjoy that nice Canadian weather. We'll be down here in our 95-degree weather.
Yeah, I will enjoy it for the 6 weeks it has left before we're switching to winter coats.
All right, man. We'll see you.